We're continuing the conversation from the segment with Dr. Karyn Gordon. Karyn, you say don't choose a school without a plan, so you're here to talk a little bit more about that. We have some questions from social media, and we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive. So the first question comes from a viewer, Chris. My son is like a spinning top when it comes to stress with school. He's taking journalism. He loves it, but worries about everything from money to school to his future. How do I help him take it a notch down? He is 19 going on 40. There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. Gosh, I actually really like the fact that he's actually taking his life so seriously, right? Because there's a lot of people that are like, whatever, I'm in school. So, you know, what I would actually encourage his mom is to actually think about the positives. Like the fact that her son, he's probably likely firstborn, based on that kind of sense of ownership and responsibility. I love that. So you want to kind of applaud that and kind of affirm that part. And then also saying, okay, hon, I love the fact you're doing this. So what can you do in terms of actually managing your stress? Stress and anxiety, it's a little bit different. So anxiety is focused on future. Well, what if this happens? What if this happens? Stress is like, oh my goodness, I've got an exam tomorrow and I have not prepared. So with stress, to manage your stress, you want to make sure you don't take on too much. With anxiety, you want to make sure that you actually have a plan. So kind of really sit down with him and actually say, what exactly are you anxious about and what exactly is the plan to actually help him? And once kids actually have that plan, it actually reduces the anxiety.
This Maclean's article, the 2015 Guide to Jobs in
so
Canada.
Good. Winston,
one of your
you
favorite
have
resources.
It is one of my favorite resources because I work with young people. I work with young people all the time, and I work with employers all the time. So I'm constantly in this middle role. And so I love Maclean's for this because it really is the data. It's the research with what so many of the different problems with what young people are facing, but also with what employers are facing actually as well.
So what are some of the problems right now in the job market? With
the job market, well, there's a lot, but one of them is that it's a mismatch. So where the jobs are is not where people are going. Okay, and again, like I was saying on Breakfast Television this morning, a lot of it is like people are kind of blaming everybody. Some people are saying, well, too many parents are just focusing and telling their kids to go to university. A degree in liberal arts, while I love it, you have to kind of enter it knowing that you may not get a job by the end of it. You're going to need to pair it with something else. So it's really, the important thing is for parents and young people to be strategic about your career. Don't just kind of say, oh, I guess I'll just kind of, I like psychology. I'm just going to do a degree in psychology. You need to have a thought out plan. What exactly is that you actually want, and what is the best education to actually get yourself there?
And it's more important now than ever to kind of look forward, and it's such an evolving world, especially in the world of journalism, for example, where it's such an evolving world with digital. You have to be able to kind of spring back and figure out what to do next. You have to look 5 steps ahead.
You do, and one of the things we actually teach in our strategic career course is the idea about pivoting, that a typical person, male and female, will have about 10 to 11 jobs in their career. They're going to have 10 to 11. People are constantly pivoting. I call it pivoting. So you kind of go down one path, and it's like, oh, okay, now I'm going to go down this. Oh, now I'm going to go down this. Like, think about how many different jobs you've probably already had being here. You've probably pivoted about 3 different times.
Yes, I have.
Right? And that's actually part of the art of us being strategic about your career. You have to think about pivoting. That pivoting is almost a strategy. So instead of saying, this is my job and this is what I'm going to do, constantly looking for opportunities, constantly looking about how you can actually bring value to an employer, actually, if you're an entrepreneur, in terms of actually to your client base. So it's rethinking about a career versus this is my career and this is what I'm going to do for 50 years, right? So it's a completely different mind. It's like it's a different paradigm.
It is. Okay, cool. Another question. Renee sends in a question. Schools are trying to get their kids to try to pick their career paths in grade 8. It's becoming very stressful for my 15-year-old who doesn't know what she wants to do yet. Any suggestions other than my blueprint to help guide her?
Yeah, my blueprint is awesome for figuring
out. That's a website, right? I remember doing this.
Do you? Yeah. It's a great tool. It really helps a lot of young people. It's in a lot of schools. It helps young people actually in terms of tracking their courses. So that's where I find the strength. What I honestly, 15, we launched the strategic career course. It's a 1-day program, and it's a process. We walk people through a process, and literally at the end of those 7 hours, people, like, the writing is on the wall. They know with what they need to do. But that is it's a process. People are kind of digging deep. You have to kind of give yourself actually that time. So my encouragement to this mom is 15, we usually find about grade 10 is the optimal age to actually start. Earlier than that, you kind of, my strategy is a grade 8 and grade 9, try to get them to take as many courses as they can so they can start feeling out what they actually like. that would be my strategy. Around grade 10 and 11, start zeroing it in. So by kind of grade 12, you kind of know with what your plan is after.
Well, and I notice a lot of people, my age in their 20s are finishing their university programs or 3/4 of way through their university programs, and they're changing majors because they're realizing, hey, I got squeezed into something
Winston,
I don't even want to do.
That's 50% of Canadian students right now are changing their majors up to about 3 times.
Great. Okay. Another question here. It's not great, but
it's terrible. I mean, it's literally because people don't. It's like, oh, I don't know what. Like, there's so much uncertainty. Everyone's kind of going like this with the topic.
Yeah, and it's something that you have to do your research, but it's also you will figure things. That's the reality. You're going to go into school and you're going to see things, and you're going to realize, hey, this isn't for me. So there's nothing wrong with changing what you want to do.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay, another question from Kim. Where do students find these experts they are supposed to research? It's not like they can just book appointments with CEOs of companies.
Yeah, this is a great question, and that was actually one of the reasons why, as part of our course, like when I was kind of put in this unique spot between working with young people and all these employers, I was getting access to all this phenomenal information because I was working with CEOs of different companies. And so it was when I realized this interesting spot that I was in, I thought, I need to interview these experts. And so last year I interviewed 60 of these industry experts over 4 weeks. Winston, it was an amazing experience for me, talking to them for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes and really getting into their headspace with what would they be recommending. So for students of our course, they have access to those podcasts. It's actually all part of it, which is great. And but another option is, you might be amazed with how easy it is to actually get access. A lot of people are afraid. They hold themselves back. They think, oh my gosh, they're probably going to say no. They're not going to have the time. Do your research in your local community. If you want to get into journalism, media, whatever, find out who are the people in your community that you can actually just pick up the phone and pick up the phone.
Not just send a quick email.
That's right. Exactly.
Those often get disregarded.
Yes.
Of course, there are a lot of great online resources too. Maclean's does a really good guide to universities every year.
They do. They do a fantastic job, and so that really is it's like the Bible for figuring out in terms of like colleges and universities.
Are there any other online resources like quizzes or anything that kind of help figure out what your strong what your personality traits are and what kind of jobs might fit for you?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different tests. You can do Myers-Briggs, you can do Kolbe, you can do strong interest, there's a new one called interest. There's a whole, or insights, there's a whole bunch of the different ones. The trick though is having them all tied together.
Right.
Because otherwise it can be quite confusing. Like for example, we use 2 assessment tools in ours, and one of them is fantastic for personality, but it's terrible for figuring out your career. So it can actually be quite confusing. So you want to make sure that if you're going to get assessments, do it with somebody, take it as part of a course, so that the person can actually help you tie all the data all together.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to confuse you instead of empower you.
Great. And our last question goes to Ross, who tweeted us, is grade 10 too early to start career searching? We touched on that.
Yeah, I would say grade 10 is about the earliest. Grade 10 would be the earliest. I find the ideal age is about grade 11.
So is that why they have those career courses in grade 10?
But it's funny, when I talk to a lot of grade 10 students, first of all, a lot of them don't even like it. They find it very useless. Like it's
forced.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's not connected to current industry information. So I don't hear good feedback about the grade 10 career course, which is unfortunate because it's there.
Right.
But I find they do get that in grade 10. It kind of starts getting them thinking about it. By grade 11, they're like, okay, I still don't know what I'm. So I find grade 10, 11 is really the best age.
Right. All right, great. And this is the magazine, of course, Maclean's 2015 Guide to Jobs in Canada. You can get that on newsstands now.
Yes.
And of course, macleans.ca. And then, of course, you can find Dr. Karyn Gordon on Twitter at Dr. Karyn Gordon. And your website is dkleadership.org.
Right? You got it, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.